we are back, and we are excited to be here for our NBA trade deadline / All-Star edition of Buckets and Dimes, Nuts and Bolts Sports NBA podcast. Of course, it's Joe Cardoza, joined as always by my man Patrick Hillwig. Man, Pat, it has been a wild and crazy day. What's going on, man? Have you recovered from NBA trade deadline Thursday?
You know, it's a good thing my phone is on silent right now because I'm sure it'd be chirping like it's been chirping all day long. With every time I thought I knew something was going on, you know, there was players that got traded 3 times, never even got to take a seat in the city that they were traded to. I mean, it was everything that it was meant to be, except for the fact that Anthony Davis didn't go anywhere. So, you know, we don't know what's going to happen going forward with that, but yeah, it was definitely crazy today.
That's for sure, man. I think I had my Sham, I had my Woj, I had my Mark Stein, I had my everybody who's a legit NBA reporter and insider who I respect, and I know when they say things, 90% of them things they say are right. I had notifications on, so just like you, my phone was doing backflips and side flips and cartwheels all day, trying to keep track of all the action that went on. But man, like you said, it's done with. The dust have settled a little bit, and now is the fun part. It's the part where we get to kind of dissect some of these trades, talk about the ones that really we think are going to have an impact on the rest of the season. And like you mentioned, Anthony Davis is still with the New Orleans Pelicans. So I guess before we talk about our winners and losers, let's talk real fast about AD, what we think is going to happen to him the rest of the season. But let's talk a little bit about the Lakers and LeBron James and that group of players, how that's going to work out for the rest of the year as well. I mean, just starting off with Anthony Davis, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm tempted not to play him for the rest of the season just because I want him to be at optimal health when it's time for the summer and I can make trades, and teams like the New York Knicks that have a lot of assets or the Boston Celtics are getting a guy that's super healthy. But also at the same time, Anthony Davis is a competitor. Is he really going to sit quietly on the bench for the rest of the season and not complain about being able to play? Reports are saying that he was able to play the last game the Pelicans had. He was recovered from his index finger injury, but the team held him out for the possibility of him being traded. So, I mean, if you're the Pelicans, if you're Anthony Davis, what's your thought process there?
We talked about it in the last episode. We talked about it where they actually took him out of the video for the teams. I mean, you think, I mean, they pretty much were like, yep, this is a done deal. They were like, we know something's going to happen. And it's definitely going to be a touchy relationship with his teammates, with everybody in the organization for that matter. I mean, the Lakers tried to push their hand, try to push him into it, and it didn't work. So now, who knows what's going to happen? Like you said, the Knicks, the Celtics. I mean, it's going to be tough to still play there. It's going to be tough, in my opinion, for Anthony Davis to still play there because he already said, look, I want out, and they couldn't get him out, and now he's got to sit next to the bench with some of those guys, and he's got to look them in the eye and be like, yeah, I'm here until next year, but then I'm gone, So how do you play with a guy like that? I don't know.
Well, I think I read somewhere, too, where Anthony Davis had talked to his teammates and kind of told them where he was at as far as wanting to be traded and leave the organization. So you would think that as far as that situation goes with teammates' reactions, they already know, hey, he wants to leave. He told us his reasons he wanted to leave. It didn't work out. You would think as professionals, they would let him back in. But we'll have to see how that situation goes. Maybe it's touch and go. Maybe the last 10 games of the season he plays just to kind of showcase teams what they'd be getting if they signed him. Who knows? But you take a look at things on the West Coast with the Los Angeles Lakers, man, I've been thinking about this one all day. I just do not know how LeBron James goes into that locker room and repairs that relationship when almost your entire roster at some point or the other was potentially trade bait. And all these different voices are saying the reason their names are involved in trades is because of you, Mr. LeBron James, or your agent, who some people are calling his mouthpiece, Rich Paul. We'll have to see. I just don't know how you go back in that locker room and tell those guys, hey, look, I mean, not apologize, but let's get over this, keep on playing. I mean, they had some positive things going before he got injured. They went on a really bad losing streak. I think they were all screwed up in the head, and that showed in their 42-point loss to a depleted Indiana Pacers team the other day. I just don't see how you turn this around.
I mean, we all saw that game as well. I mean, you see the blowout loss, you see the bench, and then you see about 12 chairs, and then you see LeBron James sitting by himself. He's already pretty much alienated himself. And I mean, the team obviously sees it too. They know. They know what he expects, and they know where they're at right now, and they clearly know that he's not happy. And if he's not happy, what does that mean for me? He's gonna talk to Magic Johnson, and he's gonna have me sent away if he's not happy with me. And I mean, can you imagine playing like that every single game?
I couldn't. That's crazy.
I get it. You're always playing. You're always playing to show that you need to be on that team. And obviously, if you're not playing well, and towards the end of your contract, there's a chance you could get traded or moved or something like that. But to actually have one player and he be your teammate and he be that deciding factor, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and people will say all the time, it's not LeBron, it's not LeBron. Come on, let's get to the BS. we know it is. I mean, we've seen it in so many different situations, whether it be Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers, multiple times. If you're not cutting it in LeBron's eyes, he will say what he needs to say to management, moves will be made. Are the Lakers a different kind of organization? They are. I mean, don't get it twisted. The Lakers aren't the Cavs. Lakers aren't the Heat. They are a perennial NBA franchise, multiple championships, led by one of the franchise's all-time great players in Magic Johnson, who's been a winner in the business world multiple times over, from the movie theaters to partial owner of the Dodgers. I mean, Magic's not in this thing to lose. He's in it to win and to bring this team back to the forefront of the NBA. But like you said, I don't just know if I could suit up next to this guy, a guy who I talked about before the show started, told these guys at the beginning of the season, when you fall, just wait. Your brother will come help you up. And now my brother wants me traded? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, when he came there, those players were signed to come there to play next to him because they thought, oh, this is going to be a good fit. We're going to be able to do something this season with this roster. I'm sure some of the guys that they picked up, they were like, we can probably move them later. But still, Lance Stevenson coming there, Rajon Rondo coming there. I mean, those are guys.
Michael Beasley, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Beasley. They came there to play with LeBron. Guess what? You're there to play with LeBron. You're also there to play for LeBron. Because right now, he makes the decisions. Anybody that doesn't think so really doesn't, can't see what's going on, honestly, then.
Yeah, you're definitely blind if you think that organization is not. He's not having somewhat of an influence on there. It doesn't help too that the mouth nobody wants to hear, or at least I don't want to hear, LeVar Ball, who I cannot lie, I completely forgot about LeVar Ball, and then today he did the Fox Sports Show tour and was everywhere bashing Magic, bashing LeBron, and to a certain extent, I think it might be okay to say LeBron kind of deserves it a little bit.
Yeah. Did you see though? I got to look back. I don't know where it was where I saw that he said it. Where he basically said if the Lakers trade Lonzo, whatever, they definitely won't win a championship anytime soon.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, wait, what? You're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers? This is one of the most prominent teams in the NBA that they're gonna get some players to come there next year. We've talked about it in the past. Some of the free agents that they could come there, and Anthony Davis was one of them. Kemba Walker. I mean, there's so many
absolutely.
that you could think about.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. So they're gonna get somebody. Obviously, it just didn't work out with the players that they got, and now they're kind of, they just have to deal with what they got. They just got to keep with the roster that they got, figure it out. I mean, they made a couple of moves today. It looks like they got rid of Zubac and Michael Beasley and got Mike Muscala. So they
shooting.
Some moves for the deadline, but
that gives them a roster opening.
They definitely did not do what everyone thought they were going to do and come off. And I think a lot of it had to do with the Pelicans kind of stringing them on. I honestly think the Pelicans were trying. Man, the last I heard, they wanted, what was it, 4 first round picks and 2 second round picks or something like that, plus half the team.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. That's not even realistic. I was listening on the radio and they were like, the last conversation happened Monday, and that conversation took about as long as it takes to order a pizza.
Ouch. Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
I think, too, a lot of this has to do with Dale Demps and the New Orleans Pelicans, like you just said, wanting to kind of stick it to the Lakers. I mean, you guys are going to try to, almost like a situation of, you're going to show me, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to show you. And what I mean by that is, yeah, we would have found out eventually who the players were that the Lakers were offering for the trade. But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised when it comes to light that New Orleans released all the names as soon as they could to put that doubt in those players' ear, to make them be in the situation they are now in Los Angeles, where you're going to have to go into that locker room, Luke Walton, who's already on thin ice, and now you got to convince these guys who have been on the trading block for weeks, hey, we didn't mean it, man. You guys are still in our plans. Let's go out and win some games. And oh, by the way, LeBron's here too. Yay. It's a tough situation to be in. I would not want to be a Laker player or coach at all.
No, I mean, you can't. I mean, we're talking about the Lakers. We're talking about the Pelicans. But I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, out of all the people in the trade deadline, I think the hype was built up so much, and for nothing to happen, really, nothing to kind of come to fruition with everything that they've been talking about for the past 2 weeks. I think they've been talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just it's a letdown for me because I was like, man, where is it going to happen? Isn't it going to happen? And obviously they made some moves, but they didn't make the moves that everybody wanted them to make.
Yeah, so that was the big thing we were all looking for today. A lot of hype, but no substance. But that's not what happened with the rest of the NBA trade deadline. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty with that, man. We're talking about our winners, our losers, some teams that stayed pat that we thought were going to make moves. Before I jump on to you, Pat, and talk about your winners for the draft day, I want to talk about, or trade day, excuse me. I want to talk about some teams I thought were going to make moves but didn't. Oklahoma City Thunder. Sam Presti has a history of making some moves at the trade deadline. Every time you think OKC has no assets or there's no way they can do X, Y, Z, Sam figures out a way to pull it off. And I was expecting that today. Didn't happen. Expected some kind of wing shooter, some support on the wing defensive side for the OKC Thunder. That didn't happen. The Portland Trailblazers continue to rely on my man, Damian Lillard, CJ McCullough. It's a great backcourt for sure, but having a third scorer is not a bad idea, Portland Trailblazers. A legit third scorer. Now, there's a Carmelo Anthony type signing in their future, who knows? But I expected Portland to do something this trade deadline, and they did nothing at all. So I was surprised by OKC not doing anything. I was surprised by the Blazers, and a little teeny bit surprised by the Spurs. I thought they'd make some kind of small move that would end up being a big move down the line. It's kind of been their MO when you take a look at the past of the San Antonio Spurs. But enough about that, Pat. Who do you got as far as who hit a home run and got things right today?
Man, I'm telling you, the 76ers, we're talking about the top five team in the Eastern Conference. We've been talking about them all year long with Embiid and Simmons. Well, then they go out and they get Jimmy Butler, so they made that happen. Now they got Tobias Harris from the Clippers. Not only did they get Tobias Harris from the Clippers, but they took that eyesore that is their first-round pick in Markelle Fultz, and they dealt him away too and got Jonathan Simmons, who can definitely come off the bench and score.
Resurrection, so, both of those guys,
I think they went all in for this year. Like you said, they're all in for this year. Now, are those guys going to stay after next year? Probably not. But, you talk about a big four, as they're calling it. I mean, Tobias Harris was worthy of an all-star.
Absolutely,
true story. Playing with the Clippers. And for him and Butler and Simmons and Embiid to be together, I mean, I really think that they're putting their stamp to get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, if not the Finals, with that roster that they have. Milwaukee Bucks, I like Milwaukee Bucks getting Nikola Mirotic as well from the Pelicans. I think that was a great move. They got rid of Thon Maker, but I mean, he really wasn't.
What was he doing?
He was hyped. He was hyped. Is what he was.
Yeah, what was he doing?
He came in really big and hyped going into the beginning of the season, but he really hadn't really done much. So they got him, and I actually like what the Mavs did, picking up Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr. I know that they got Zach Randolph, but I think they're going to release him. So yeah, Trey Burke was in that trade as well. So I mean, that lineup is going to be. I mean, you got
Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic and Porzingis. Now, this all goes on whether or not Porzingis plays up to the level that he was playing before he got injured as well. We talk about Achilles injury that he had, and who knows how he's going to come back from that. But I really still think that the Mavs did something to move forward to next year and moving forward so that when Golden State kind of their roster gets broken up, because it's going to happen, they're not going to be able to keep it together.
The whole league hopes so. The whole league hopes so.
I think that that's what they're doing. I think that they are they're taking their time now to build so that way in the future, they'll actually already have some parts to move around and to actually be able to compete in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think even without Porzingis playing this year, Tim Hardaway Jr. is averaging just a little bit under 20 points per game. You add him with Luka, who's been having a fantastic rookie season, and like you said, when Porzingis comes back from his injury, he has a little bit of a history of injuries, but I mean, a lot of players have had history, and they've shaken that off, and they've gotten things back together. So I think that's been a good move. I mean, for me, my winners, like you said, I'm all about for the 76ers. I think that when the 76ers announced Elton Brand as their GM, a lot of us had jokes, rolled our eyes. Well, I tweeted something out last night saying that Elton Brand's at his house listening to an old school hip-hop song by a guy named Kool Moe Dee, and the song was called How You Like Me Now, because he has taken this 76ers